So, hello, Joe and Richard. Good morning.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yay, it worked fine. I was really nervous. So, Cornwall Mind provide a range of wellbeing services for people to experience mental health for people who experience mental health problems. Their goal is to prevent those who are vulnerable from developing mental health issues and campaign to improve services, raise awareness and promote understanding of mental health. They offer support through various community cafes and workshops. New for 2022 is their radio show Wellbeing workshop. With us today to tell us more is Media Marketing Coordinator Joe Boulton and Recovery Support and Radio Presenter Richard Perks. So we've got an actual expert in here today.
I know about that.
He knows what to do. So Joe, could you tell us some more about Cornwall Mind and the support that you offer?
Yeah, sure. I think most people have heard about Mind, the mental health charity, but what they may not know is there are about just over 100 local minds throughout England and Wales. Obviously, we're one of those. We're Cornwall Mind. And we offer a range of wellbeing services, different groups like allotment projects and 5 Ways to Wellbeing programmes. And we also offer one-to-one outreach support. So we work with people that are homeless, and we also have a project that supports people with mental health problems that are experiencing fuel poverty. All sorts of things. We're really quite busy. So yeah, we are an independently registered and funded charity. Yeah. So we're still obviously responsible for our own funding through donations.
That's wonderful. So, as media and marketing coordinator, your job must be to spread the word of all the amazing community work of the community groups and cafes. I know you offer both online and in-person cafes. Can you tell us more about these?
Yeah, sure. The community cafes are just brilliant. We're in 10 towns now, face-to-face cafes, and the idea was that we wanted to create something that was almost like a hub, a mental health hub. Where people could come along, and it doesn't matter if it's just somebody that's just lonely, somebody that needs support. If you're worried about somebody else, it's just literally a sort of one-stop mental health hub. And they're proving to be really successful. And obviously, you don't need to be referred, you just turn up. So you can come with a friend, you don't have to come on your own. It's literally, they're open to anyone. Yeah. And we're once a month in 10 towns at the moment. And the one that we do online, obviously, not everybody can get to one of our face-to-face cafes. And, we wanted to make sure we offered those people something as well. Yeah. So we do kind of a Zoom social cafe, which started as a result, obviously, of COVID and the lockdown. But it worked really well. So we've got that option too. So people can just kind of check in and have a chat, and we can just lend a friendly listening ear.
Yeah, that's lovely. What towns are the in-person cafes in?
Oh,
this
God,
is going to test you now.
I'm going to count these. Okay, so we've got Falmouth, Truro, Penzance, Helston, St Just, Newquay, St Austell, Liskeard, Looe. I can't remember. I've said Helston, haven't I?
We'll be able to get those on socials.
It's on our website. It's all on our website.
It's all on the website, so that's fine. That's such a nice thing. So anyone can just turn up without any booking or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. They're open to anyone. And we've got staff and volunteers there to offer support. They're really good and people just love them. So yeah, they're open to everyone.
Yeah, they sound really, really, really nice. I know you're also not allowed favourites, but have you any groups that stand out to you?
I know it's hard because they all offer so many different things, but I think the 5 Ways to Wellbeing programme is probably something that I think, the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, which are connect, take notice, give, keep learning and be active. Evidence shows that if we all do more of those 5 things, that we'll have much better mental health and wellbeing and help build resilience. So I think they just apply to everybody. Yeah. So I think we offer an 8-week workshop, which we offer in different locations, and I just think that they're just so good, and I think that we could all benefit from increasing those 5 Ways to Wellbeing.
Yeah, definitely.
Making those changes.
Yeah, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But Richard, I'm interested to know what a recovery support worker gets up to.
So recovery support worker is really to facilitate the groups that Joe's just mentioned there. So we're there as part of the participants' recovery journey. So there's different groups that we do. We've got, as well as the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, there are things like the arts groups. We have an allotment group as well, and the radio group. So for us, we're there to facilitate the experience. So for people to come along and take them on the wellbeing journey. So, that might be people, who may have not socialised for a while, people that might be in isolation, people that may be going through experiences of anxiety or depression or many of the other things that that a lot of people are experiencing at the moment. So it's really that first step into their recovery path. So the recovery groups allow people to take on different forms of activity or do different things. And for a recovery support worker, we're able to be there and to help them along on that journey and really, do things that are going to make them get back into the world that they may have been away from for a while. So it's really that first step. And by having these different things, people might be interested in arts and crafts, or they might be interested in gardening. I mean, gardening is a great example because it's being out in the open air, it's socialising. I mean,
it's very therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah, and socialising is a big part of the groups as well. It's being with people, it's being with like-minded people. There's no, you can come in as you are, however you're feeling. There's no judgment whatsoever, and through that we're able to put people through an experience where they're coming each week and building up a social group and building up confidence and learning skills as well. I mean, that's so important. And things like the gardening, it's something that over weeks and months you actually see the things that you're doing creating into something, and that through the fruits and the vegetables can then be sold on, and you actually have a benefit in what you're doing. It's such a great thing to be able to do, isn't it, Jo?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Yeah. I do find gardening, for me especially, is very, very therapeutic. I love just like sitting there, podcast on, even by myself, but I'm sure with others I'd still have a great time. But I'll just like sit there, podcast on, headphones in, just pottering about in my garden, doing stuff like that. Although my mum would disagree because she thinks I'll kill everything. But
and the great thing as well, I mean, with these groups, you don't necessarily have to take part each week. You can come along and just have a chat, come and have a coffee. There's no necessarily that you have to actually be doing an activity. So if that's all that you're getting from it, then that's amazing. That's brilliant. You've come out and you've been with a group. But for other people, they may want to actually do something where they're actually creating something, and it might be on their own. Might be planting seeds. As again, going back to the gardening group, but the arts and crafts, the same thing. It may be creating something yourself, but also learning skills as you're going along. So within the different groups, hopefully we provide something that people can, depending on what stage in their journey they're at and what things they're interested in, they can partake in these different activities.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Could you tell us more about the radio show Wellbeing Workshop?
So a couple of years ago, the idea was, as we know, talking about mental health is such an amazing thing that helps people, and it's that first step. So we decided to, through one of the community radio stations, to have a radio show, an hour-long show once a month, where people can just come along and have an open conversation. And it doesn't necessarily mean, talking about everything you've been through, but just to be able to have a conversation with people. And what we do within that show is we have some interviews, we have some chat with people, and we just learn more about different aspects of mental health and general well-being. And initially, the group was just a series of people that came along each week. Obviously, we had lockdown, which meant we had to turn, as we all did, into a virtual space. So within the people that we had at the time, we were working from home, and as a lot of people did, created their own little radio spaces. And from that now, we're turning this into a radio recovery group. So we know the importance of recovery and of having conversations. So what we're now doing is having a monthly radio show that goes out, and also goes out as a podcast as well. But having these meetings as well. So every week we can kind of get together. And as I say, with the other groups, it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to physically do something. But being in the groups like the community cafes, where you can have conversations and talk about the things that have helped you on your recovery journey. And from that, we can then create content that we can put out on the show. As I say, we've got an hour's worth of space each month. That can obviously be more if we needed to. But it can be anything. It can be having conversations. It can be music, as we know, is so powerful. Yeah. Whether you're creating music or whether you're listening to music, that helps our mental health and well-being so much. So we can use music, we can use poetry, any form of audio that can go in for this hour. So the idea is really for people to come along and experience being in that environment, being in a really comfortable atmosphere where you can talk, and it is all pre-recorded as well. So obviously we because we're talking about mental health, we don't put anything out that people don't feel comfortable talking about and have a chance to reflect before they have anything broadcast. But what we find as well is that, as well as talking about their own experiences and their own recovery, that helps them in the conversations that they have.
Yeah.
But then also that helps other people that are listening. So if you're listening to the radio show, if you're listening to the podcast, you can see where other people are on their journey and get something from that as well. So it's really a win-win for both people that are partaking. And also there's skills as well, the basic radio skills, which you don't necessarily need to have. But if you wanted to learn a new skill, you wanted to learn about having microphone technique and editing little bits and pieces, that's something that we can provide. And it's another skill to have in the workplace. And hopefully as well with people coming along, they get that social aspect and they feel confident, and maybe it is something they want to pursue, where they might want to go into community radio, they might want to take some other route, maybe create their own podcast at some point about something that they feel that is so important. So that's the kind of idea. So what we're looking for at the moment is volunteers to help us with that. So you don't necessarily need to have a radio background or have any technical ability, but if that's an interest you've got, that would be amazing. But also to support the people that are going to be there. So to have an interest in mental health, to be able to come along and just be in that social atmosphere, and you get all the training as well if you are a volunteer. And we're also looking for members. So if you wanted to take part, if you wanted to learn some radio skills and have a bit of an experience on that, and to be able to show your friends that you're doing stuff on the radio, that's something we're doing. So we're running sort of 6 to 8 week courses, and that will be happening in the next few weeks.
That's wonderful. So I'm assuming anyone's eligible for this. So anyone can kind of stick their teeth into it, like members or volunteers as well, I'm assuming. I
think the great thing with the different groups is that it may suit different people. So things like the gardening and the allotments, maybe we do have younger people, but sometimes it's an older thing. I think for the radio, media is quite a fun thing. A lot of younger people are into blogging, they're into doing video stuff, maybe into social media as well. So there's different aspects of the radio show that we can pursue. So I think for that, it is something that is a bit unique for Cornwall Mind, that we can offer something that maybe the younger people won't. But there's no particular age or demographic. It's people that have an interest, who want to come along and find that might be something that's suited to them, whereas one of the other groups might not be to their taste.
Yeah, that's really cool. So both of you, this one's aimed at, kind of what are the benefits of the groups? Like, you've kind of talked a little bit about both of them, but kind of, if you can just run me through them.
I think Richard's mentioned some of the great benefits already, and I think that another few that I would add is peer support. So we really encourage peer support because you sharing your experiences with people who might have been through similar things is so powerful. And some of our members have gone on to be volunteers for us. So that's really nice that we can kind of support them on that journey, and they can give something back to their community and get involved with us. So that's another really good thing. We're always looking for volunteers to help with everything that we do. And also some of our groups, we offer it's called a recovery action plan.
Okay.
So we would work with the person on this plan to look at what they wanted to achieve. So if they were signing up for, say, the allotment project, it would be about what they hoped to achieve, what they wanted to get out of the group, and how we could support them, signpost them to other things, etc. So those are some of the really good benefits that I think are worth considering.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So do all of these workshops run for 8 weeks, or is there kind of like a different time?
Some of them are different. Yeah, like the allotment and garden projects, they're kind of 6-month projects, so that you can kind of plant and see it grow and possibly even eat it. So so that they do vary. And people can sometimes repeat them because everyone's different, but they're open to anyone. Yeah, you don't have to have a diagnosis or anything. They're open to anybody that would feel that they would benefit from joining one of our groups. And people can self-refer. You don't need a GP to refer you or anything like that. So we make it really simple.
Yeah, which is good. Is there any cost or anything behind these? Do you have to pay a fee?
No,
that's wonderful.
Everything's free, and we feel that it should be that way.
Exactly. Yeah, completely. I was going to say, because you can learn so many new skills, and there's a lot of barriers for people nowadays, especially in this the cost of living crisis. A lot of barriers for people getting into stuff like radio. There might be, I don't know, the next. I can't think of a radio presenter, Brian Jordan. Could be the next Brian Jordan there, and they don't. They might not have the access to get into it, because I definitely, when I was younger, I didn't have the only time I kind of started doing radio was when I moved up to university. I did end up kind of coming back down here. I did some work for a few local radio stations, and then obviously here I am now. But having those opportunities, especially for young people, for anyone in Cornwall, is really, really important. Like, no matter what kind of skill you're learning, be it allotments and gardening, radio, or like some of the other great things you talked about, it's amazing. It's really, really good. So, Jo, I know you're also a 5 Ways to Wellbeing group that we were talking about earlier, starting towards the end of the month. Can you just tell us more about that one?
Yeah, I've got some dates now, actually. We've got, we're launching our next 5 Ways to Wellbeing in Loo.
Okay.
That will be on the 3rd of November. So that's an 8-week programme. We've actually got another couple of groups launching. We've got our online creative writing workshop. We've got one launching on the 7th of November, and there are still spaces left. And we've got a brand new Newquay Wellbeing art group, which is launching on the 8th of November. So, yeah, lots happening.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So there's just a very wide variety of courses you offer, isn't there? I'm sure it's hard to keep track.
Definitely.
So how can people kind of find these groups? Are they all on your website?
Yeah, well, they're on the website. We're in the process of having a new website, so hopefully people can still get the information they need.
Yeah.
But we've got a website, which is cornwallmind.org, and obviously we're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and it's at Cornwall Mind.
At Cornwall Mind.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you both so much for taking the time to join us today. There's loads happening, and I'm very interested in them. I could learn some skills there. But it's great to hear all about it. The group sounds so good, and we wish you all the success with them, and I hope we'll see you very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. It's